I thought I might just do a little segment on Black Lives Matters. Not to be in concert with those signs and all that shit, or any of the shit that's going on, but because black means black to me, and black is totally different than black. I can't describe it to you or even clue you in on what that means because it's personal to me. So we got to go back, okay, to revisit some shit. There was West Africa and East Africa, and they were joined in the middle, somewhat in the middle, pretty much in the middle. A large chunk of land naturally formed in between the two, almost like a road, like it was supposed to be there, okay? And so West Africa was known. I mean, the land's still there, things have changed, but that used to be right below Canada, the United States, Mexico. All the land below that was called West Africa, okay? On the opposite side, underneath England and all that bullshit up there, Africa, that was called East Africa. In the combination of the two, like from a bird's eye view, if you look down at the land, it looked like the shape of a heart, okay? If you put the two pieces together, the east and the west, you pulled it together, it would resemble very much like the shape of a heart. And in the middle, the current, in the middle, that road existed, but the heavy currents would come at certain times. So when the waters were low and the currents weren't there, the people from West Africa and the people from East Africa walked the road, okay, to visit each other. And it all changed when they did the slave ships, okay? But those two sides were joined. They were called at during the times and the periods where people traveled back and forth from east to west. Their people called that Africa. It was time for Africa, okay? But when the tide started coming back up, whichever side you get caught on, east or west, that was the split of the people, okay? But when they could walk, it was called, the whole sections of land on both sides was called Africa. So anyways, Iroquoian people above West Africa used to have lots of visions, and they would get so extremely stressed out and they couldn't focus on anything else. And their people made them carry rocks. As soon as they started seeing a vision come through and people watching the movement of their people, their elders would hand them a rock, and they were required to carry the rock with them at all times while that vision shit was going on. And as soon as that rock went flying out of their hands, they were supposed to carry it in their hands, and as soon as, like, the vision was complete, it was known that the rock would just fly out of their hands, okay? And that was the time they had to make movement on the vision. And so they found themselves down in West Africa, okay? Because they saw in advance what was going to happen to their neighbors and their friends, okay? And so they went down there, and just as they arrived, their elders were seeing visions at the time as well, not only about their own people, but about their neighbors, the Iroquoian people. And so shit was at an all-time high, okay? And so the way it used to work was the rock that held the vision, you were supposed to give it to the eldest member of where the vision was, the focal point of the vision. So you used to have to pass the rock. And so, and then once they got the vision, it became clear to them, they would make movement with their own people to protect their people, okay? Because they'd measure it up against other shit going on. So just about the time the Iroquoian people arrived down in West Africa to let them know clear-coded visions of what was coming through on their end about this whole slavery shit, they were also getting clear-coded vision about, they were focused on the future. Where's our people? How are we seeing our people in the future? And so one of the oldest elders known to Africa, meaning both halves, said that they held no beliefs outside of their own people. Never in the history of all fucking history, okay? They never held any type of belief outside of their own people. They believe wholeheartedly in their own people. And they would have visions of the future which they would say it's acceptable versus not acceptable. And one thing that was not acceptable is the starlights, the high explosions in the sky type of activity by their people. They did not ever want to see that stuff, ever. Okay? They had a very, very strong belief about that. So, to prove their point of where they saw their people in the future and to try to discourage them from moving in that direction, they put on kind of like a theatrical play using those big snakes that have, I don't know what they're called. They're actually pretty, their faces are pretty. They got the great big lips and it looks like they have eyeliner. I don't know what they're called, okay? Their faces are like really pretty, okay? I mean, like, I'm not gonna shoot them down. They're like, you know, that's a very pretty species, okay? So they set up a stage with their own women, and they dressed up the men garnished the women with clothing, but they also garnished these things, okay, which are like the size, if not larger, than humans. And they trained them to almost look like they were walking right next to them. Walking, but they moved them right next to, in between their people. And at the end, they like pulled the clothes down and freaked the women right the fuck out, okay? And the men went ballistic that, if they ever saw them walking in that type of motion in the future, they were going to send somebody to let them know that that was never approved by their people. So, anyways, after the exchange, you travel all that distance. Obviously, you're going to spend a few nights with them, and then you're going to travel back home. And so, the passing of the rock was equally done on both sides. So, if you pass the vision of the rock to the West African people, in return, they pass a rock of vision to you.